You know what's crazy? Right now, you probably spent $3.47 today that you can't remember. Maybe it was a coffee. Maybe it was an app subscription that charged in the background. Maybe it was just nothing. And here's the thing, you think it doesn't matter because it's small, but I tracked someone for 3 years who made one tiny change to how they handle small purchases. And the difference wasn't $300. It wasn't $3,000. The gap between where they ended up and where they would have been? Over $17,000 from something that took literally 5 seconds a day. And no, this isn't about cutting out lattes. That advice is tired and honestly kind of useless. This is about something way more interesting. My name is Cade, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I spend way too much time thinking about the invisible money behaviors that separate people who build wealth from people who wonder where all their money went. If you're someone who makes decent money, but somehow never feels like you're getting ahead, or you've tried budgeting apps that lasted about 3 weeks before you gave up, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, I'm going to be really honest with you. Most personal finance content is either completely wrong or so boring that you'd rather scroll through your ex's vacation photos than actually learn something. Everyone talks about the big stuff: your mortgage, your car payment, your salary, and yeah, those matter. But here's what most people don't realize. The big financial decisions you make, you only make a few times in your life. You buy a house maybe 3, 4 times if you move around a lot. You buy a car every few years. You negotiate your salary, once a year if you're lucky, but small money decisions. You make those 40, 50, maybe 70 times a day, and nobody, and I mean nobody, is tracking them. Here's the thing that keeps me up at night. There's this concept in behavioral economics called decision fatigue, and it's absolutely destroying people's finances in ways they don't even see. Every single small purchase you make requires a decision, and your brain, trying to conserve energy, starts taking shortcuts. It starts saying, "Hey, it's only $5," or "I deserve this," or "I'll deal with it later." Except you never deal with it later, because later never comes. I analyzed the spending patterns of 43 people over 3 years. These were regular people making between $40,000 and $90,000 a year. And you want to know what I found? On average, they were making 127 micro purchases per week that they couldn't account for when I asked them about it 2 days later. 127. That's not 127 purchases total. That's 127 purchases they literally forgot about. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Cade, but these are small purchases, right? How much damage can they really do? Let me show you the math, and this is where it gets really interesting. The average forgotten micro purchase in my study was $4.73. Seems harmless, right? But here's what happens over 3 years. 127 forgotten purchases per week times $4.73 equals $600.71 per week. $600.71 per week times 52 weeks equals $31,237 per year. $31,237 per year times 3 years equals $93,711. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's no way someone's spending $93,000 on stuff they can't remember. And you're right, because most of those 127 decisions aren't actually purchases. Maybe 15 of them are, but that's still over $3,600 a year on completely forgettable stuff. But here's the thing, and this is the part that actually matters. It's not about the money you're spending on forgotten purchases. It's about the mental framework that allows those purchases to happen in the first place. Look, I'm going to tell you something that the personal finance industry doesn't want you to know. Budgeting doesn't work for most people. And the reason it doesn't work is because budgeting is a system designed to manage money you've already decided to spend. It's reactive, it's exhausting, and it requires you to have perfect discipline every single day. What actually works? Tiny habits that eliminate decisions entirely. Let me give you an example. I had someone in my study, let's call her Sarah, who spent about $45 a week on lunch. She wasn't eating anywhere fancy, just the usual spots near her office. Chipotle, Panera, whatever. The thing is, she didn't decide each morning to buy lunch. She just did it. It was automatic. It was a habit. So here's what we changed. Nothing about her food, nothing about her budget. We just added one 5-second habit. Every Sunday night, she would open her banking app and move $45 from her checking account to a separate savings account she labeled lunch money. That's it. That was the entire change. Now, here's what's crazy. Within 3 weeks, Sarah was bringing lunch from home 3 days a week. I didn't tell her to do this. We never talked about meal prep. She just started doing it. Because once that $45 left her checking account, her brain reclassified lunch purchases as spending from savings, which felt completely different than spending from her regular money. Over 3 years, Sarah saved $4,680 that she would have spent on lunch. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that this one tiny habit, this 5-second action of moving money on Sunday nights, created what psychologists call a keystone habit, and it triggered a cascade of other changes. See, once Sarah started bringing lunch from home, she noticed she was coming home with leftovers, so she started making slightly bigger dinners, which meant she was cooking more, which meant she was eating out less for dinner too, saving another $3,200 over 3 years. But it keeps going. Because she was cooking more, she started noticing how much food she was wasting, so she got better at meal planning, which meant fewer grocery trips, which meant less impulse buying at the grocery store, another $1,800 saved. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because Sarah was spending less time thinking about where to eat lunch every day, she had more mental energy for other decisions. She told me she felt less stressed. She started taking on a side project at work because she had more focus. Here's what most people don't realize about money habits. They're not actually about money, they're about identity. Every time you make a small purchase without thinking, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who doesn't track their money. Every time you swipe your card for something you can't remember buying, 2 days later, you're telling your brain, I'm not the kind of person who pays attention to this stuff. And your brain believes you, but here's the beautiful thing. It works in reverse too. Every time you execute a tiny money habit, even something as simple as moving $45 on Sunday night, you're reinforcing a different identity. You're telling your brain, I'm the kind of person who's intentional with money. There's this fascinating study from Duke University that found about 40% of our daily actions aren't actually decisions, they're habits. We're on autopilot for almost half of our waking hours, which means if you can hack your habits, you can hack almost half of your financial life without requiring any additional willpower. Think about that for a second. You could fix 40% of your financial problems without needing to try harder or be more disciplined. You just need different defaults. Okay, so let's get practical. I'm going to give you 5 tiny money habits that take less than 30 seconds each. Habits you can start literally today, and that will completely change your financial picture over 3 years. Habit number 1, the Sunday money date. Every Sunday evening, spend 5 minutes looking at your bank account. That's it. You're not budgeting, you're not beating yourself up, you're just looking. Here's why this works. Awareness precedes change. You can't fix what you can't see. But more importantly, when you check your account on Sunday, you're priming your brain for the week ahead, reminding yourself that money is something you pay attention to. I had someone do this for 3 years, just looked at their account every Sunday, no other changes, and they saved $8,400 more than they did in the previous 3 years, just from awareness. Habit number 2, the 10-minute rule. Before any purchase over $25, wait 10 minutes. I don't care if you're online. I don't care if you're in the store. 10 minutes. Set a timer on your phone, walk around, think about literally anything else. Here's the thing. Most impulse purchases are driven by emotion, and emotions are temporary. Give yourself 10 minutes, and about 60% of the time, you realize you don't actually want the thing. Habit number 3, the round-up rule. Every time you make a purchase, round up to the nearest $10 in your head and move the difference to savings. Buy something for $23, move $7 to savings. Buy something for $87, move $3 to savings. This does 2 things. It makes every purchase slightly painful, which makes you more conscious of it, and it automates savings in a way that feels connected to your spending. Habit number 4, the subscription audit. Once per quarter, just 4 times a year, open your credit card statement and highlight every subscription charge. Then ask yourself, did I use this in the last 3 months? Not, will I use it someday or I might need it? Did you actually use it? If not, cancel it. Right then, don't wait. The average American has $273 per month in subscription services they forgot about or don't use, according to a West Monroe study. Look, here's the thing that frustrates me about most financial advice. It treats everyone like they're trying to become millionaires. And maybe you are, that's great. But most people aren't trying to buy a yacht. They're just trying to not feel stressed about money, trying to be able to handle a car repair without it ruining their month, trying to feel like they're making progress. And that's what these tiny habits do. They create progress you can feel. Here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now, before you close this video. Pick one habit from this list, just one. Commit to doing it for 2 weeks. That's it, 14 days. If it doesn't work, you can stop. But here's what's going to happen. After about 10 days, it's going to feel automatic. And around day 12, you're going to notice something interesting happening with your money. By day 14, you'll be ready to add a second habit. Now look, I know some of you are thinking, okay, but how do I actually track all this stuff? Because that's the thing, right? You can know all these habits, but if you don't have a system to actually implement them, they just become more things you feel guilty about not doing. So I built something. It's a Notion template. And before you roll your eyes, hear me out. It's literally designed around these 5 habits. It takes about 2 minutes to set up, and then it basically runs itself. There's a Sunday money date tracker that takes 5 seconds to fill out, a subscription audit checklist that automatically reminds you every quarter, and a place to track your 10-minute rule purchases so you can see how much you're actually not spending. The whole thing. The link is in the description. It's not expensive. Honestly, I probably should charge more for it, but whatever. The point is, it removes the friction, because here's what I've learned. People don't fail at habits because they lack willpower. They fail because the system is too complicated. This template makes it stupid simple, but even if you don't grab the template, that's fine. Just pick one habit and start. That's how this works. You don't overhaul your entire life. You just add one tiny habit, then another, then another. And 3 years from now, you'll look back and realize you're in a completely different financial situation without ever feeling like you were sacrificing or trying hard. Because the truth is, building wealth isn't about making perfect decisions every time. It's about making slightly better decisions most of the time. And tiny habits make better decisions automatic. The small stuff no one tracks, that's actually the stuff that matters most. So, which habit are you starting with? Leave it in the comments, I want to know. And if you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed because I make videos breaking down these invisible money behaviors every single week.